Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty here with Interview with a Vampire Episode 4, Ruthless Pursuit of Blood with All a Child's Demanding. Which, did we get a title drop this episode? Because I don't recall it. I did miss the first few minutes. I thankfully managed to find somewhere online that I could watch those few minutes during the commercial breaks, but I still do not recall hearing the title drop. But anyway, I finally understand the riot from the previous chapter. Someone in the comment section of the other video kind of basically told me that it was like whites attacking black businesses because of the murder of the alderman guy with the whites only sign, which makes sense because I was so confused trying to figure out just like why random riots started happening. And we get this opening with this sunset, and I can only think of The Lion King, and someone's talking, I'm not sure who it is. Eventually I realize that it is Daniel talking to, I don't know, I guess his publisher about the book. There's Rashid creeping in the background. Takes him to this really weird reading room. It's got like this odd looking tree. There's bookshelves, but the books are all really high up. I guess so humans can't get to them. And there's these diaries that he's given to read, which apparently belong to Claudia. And we go back to the past, and we see from Claudia's perspective, basically, Louis saving her. And I gotta say, she's oddly conscious for all of this stuff that's happening, because we basically realize that she is very badly burned, and I guess probably suffering from smoke inhalation. Louis saves her and takes her to Lestat, instead of, handing her over to a doctor, but whatever. So it takes her to their house and is begging Lestat to save her. And she's just lying there thinking that she's in like heaven. And it's heaven is apparently a gay vampire novel. Sounds legit. I believe it anyway. And that's the heaven I want. But yeah, so as is obvious, Lestat agrees to save her. She's turned. And she makes a pretty cute vampire. I love her little sailor outfit. Always love sailor outfits. I'm not sure where they got that outfit so fast. They take her to the house. She's in awe of it, because apparently she's not used to having such nice things. Louis and her communicate telepathically, and they're enjoying leaving Lestat out, because apparently when you turn someone, you can't do the mind reading thing with them. But as was kind of pointed out by some other reviewers I've watched, isn't that... weren't they doing that in the past few episodes? Weren't Lestat and Louis communicating telepathically, which they're not supposed to be able to do? So that feels like a bit of an issue. And I kind of feel bad that they're leaving Lestat out, even though I'd kind of want to leave him out at this point too. So they take Claudia to kill a random drunk dude, which I don't know why Louis is on board with this, because he's so anti-killing. And she just stands there for a minute, and Louis thinks, oh, she's going to be like me. And then she takes off. I mean, she does the Flash running out of there. And there's this cop, and she's humming this kind of neat song. I don't know what it is, but she's humming. And the cop is like, where's your mom? And she's not answering. He doesn't like that she's not answering. And then she just suddenly attacks him. And I couldn't help thinking, why the cop? If the cop had been doing or thinking racist things and she sensed that might make more sense. Because it just feels kind of weird that she abandons one guy for the other. Just kind of out of nowhere, no real motivation for it. But they take her back home after she's done. Louis, in particular, is not happy she killed a cop, because it's no, you can't kill cops, because people care about cops, I guess. Although I feel like a cop is more likely to turn up dead just because of the dangerous nature of their job, but... Anyway, so she just keeps whining about how hungry she is. And they make a comment, I think it's Lestat who makes a comment about how she's just stuck in this young lady's hunger thing because girls her age are always hungry. Something about her metabolism, I don't know. I don't know how true that is. It doesn't sound like it makes much sense. She's a very devious girl, very early on, which isn't particularly different from other portrayals of Claudia, but it did kind of stand out to me. Lestat also goes on and on about her talking to a book. It took me several moments to realize he's talking about the fact that she keeps writing in a diary. And, yeah. They make her she's supposed to be 14 in this, but she's played by a 19-year-old actress, because New Orleans apparently has some really weird child labor laws. And at first it kind of bothered me that, like, they make her this age, not just because, like, they can potentially, like, alter the story to make it make sense, because Claudia's, in the book, her main thing is, you know, growing into a woman while stuck in the body of a very small child, which, obviously, here she's not quite a small child. But, so, she's, like, running around and skipping and just very, very giddy, and it did feel initially a little out of place for a 14-year-old, but, you know, I can kind of overlook it, because I can be just that excited sometimes myself, and I'm older than she is. And, you know, I think when you have, like, a lot of rough stuff happening to you, and then suddenly you're, like, super wealthy and powerful, you know, that can be a positive. So it kind of starts to feel like a weird little sitcom thing they got going on here. They're a very happy family. Claudia shares a coffin with Louis. Lestat and Louis argue in French when they want to argue. It's kind of nice. They take her shopping for her very own coffin. It's a cute coffin. It's white with pink trim. Like, I like white and pastel pink together. The funeral guy is such a nice man, because he's all worried about Claudia when they believe that she has a heart condition, but she's too happy about getting her own coffin. So the guy's like, well, this seems weird, and so they murder him. Like, and I really don't think that was necessary. Like, you're supposed to, like, be more subtle about murdering people, and yet you're murdering this coffin owner guy, and it's like, people are going to be looking for him. But, yeah. And then in her room, she has this really cool doll on a shelf, because they got more really bizarre technology where like the bed wall flips over to a coffin wall. And yeah, the doll that was like hanging up was really cute. Kind of caught my eye. I like dolls. And they go to the movies, and they're being obnoxious. And I think before that they have a birthday party for Claudia, and there's 3 dead people in birthday hats. And, like, Louis is way too happy in this scene. Like, I feel like this should bother him way more than it does. And then there's this kind of weird moment where, like, during the birthday party, I think it's during the birthday party, Claudia kind of draws attention. Because I was watching the old parts, like I said, in the commercial break, so I might have gotten some timeline stuff mixed up. So, you know. Oh, yeah, I forgot the, I did end up skipping ahead. That's why I skipped ahead a whole bunch. After they buy the coffin, going back a little bit, after they buy the coffin, Claudia sees Lestat and Louis get into a coffin together, realizes they're a couple. Her and Louis are catching fireflies together, and she's like, how does 2 men being together work? And it's like, man, that's a thing to have to explain to her, because she apparently doesn't even know how normal... Well, not normal, but how the more typical relationships of the time that most kids at that time would know about, how those work. So, yeah, he doesn't give her much of an answer, but he also feeds on a fish, which all I can think about is that would taste super gross. I'm not a fish person in terms of eating them. Don't really care for it. We go back to the present. Rashid is praying, and he's interrupted by Daniel, which I don't think is cool. You shouldn't be interrupting people's prayer sessions. And then Daniel goes back to the library and starts adding to his character notes on Rashid in the computer. I have character notes like that for my story too, because it's just sort of easier to keep track of what all your characters are doing and their personalities and the backstory stuff you revealed. It's still really hard to remember once you get too many characters. But yeah. So yeah, jumping back, happy dead people at the birthday party. Well, oddly happy Louis at the birthday party with the dead people. And he gets a call, and, like, Claudia narrates, like, she's narrating this whole episode as her writing in her diaries. And she's like, this is the moment that changed everything. It's really not. It's basically just a call that his mom died. I don't know who called and told him this, because it feels like he's supposed to have been detached from his family for a real long time at this point. And so they go to the wake. I'm worried about Grace's family, because I'm worried about Grace's family every time they appear on screen. Like, I'm just hoping they survive. The scene is short and weird. Like, it almost feels like it was cut down a little bit for, like, the version that we're shown for the people watching on, like, TV. Because, like, Grace is disapproving of the fact that they adopted Claudia, and she's kind of mean about it. But she is at least honest, like, we can't really pay you properly for the house all at once, but, you know, you don't need the money, which is legit. Like, yeah, and Louis kind of mean to her, like, I remember what I did to that door, but it does seem like he lets her have the house. They also let Claudia drive the car, and she drives like she's playing Grand Theft Auto. And, yeah. So Lestat takes her to some kind of, like, lover's hookup place, which is a little weird. And it's like, okay, you get to murder the 2 people in that car, I'll murder the 2 people in this car. And she stands there staring at the 2 people in the car, like, making out, because, again, she's apparently just very naive, doesn't understand this kind of stuff. And they see her watching, and they're like, what are you doing standing there watching this little girl? And it's like, they keep calling her a little girl, but she doesn't really come across as a little girl, because, again, she's supposed to be 14 in universe, and she's played by a 19-year-old. So it's like, I don't know that I would consider her a little girl. Like, how old are these people in this car? They're probably, like, late teens, early 20s. And she kills the guy, girl runs, Lestat kills the girl, and it's like, hey, you said that one was mine, and you're killing her. And after seeing this, Claudia has a sort of awakening, because apparently she's, like, 18 now, so I guess 4 years have passed with no one telling us. She dresses up in a more mature outfit, and she goes out alone, and Lestat and Louis just let her go. I'm not sure why. Like, there's no indication they've really let her out before. And she goes out, and we get a little glimpse of Mean Girls New Orleans, where some uppity, fancy, rich white girls are making nasty comments about her and the clothes she's wearing. And she is like 2 seconds away from murdering them. And I'm surprised they don't really react, because she shows the fangs and everything. But then a horse startles her, and she meets a charming young man named Charlie. And he kind of, flirts with her a little bit. And I'm just thinking, like, Lestat's not going to approve of this. But it's kind of sweet. Like, you can tell she really likes him. And he throws some flowers to her, and she's all giddy and everything. And she's trying to keep the dads from interfering. And they go and they have this really awesome ice cream. But the scene where they're eating the ice cream is a little weird, because, like, Charlie's like, oh, you're cute, but you're too young. And it's like, you were very clearly flirting with her. And then it's again where the young thing comes in, where it's like, he doesn't, like, I don't know what his exact age is supposed to be, but, like, at this point, I think she says she's 19, so I guess another year has passed. And he's like, there's no way you're older than me, so he has to be younger than 19, and yet he's calling this girl who's, again, in universe supposed to be 14, saying she's too young. So it just feels really weird to be saying that to someone who is, really not too young. So, yeah. But she basically convinces him she's older, and he immediately is on board with that, and so they're hooking up in the his carriage, I guess. And you just get the feeling it's going to end badly, because if you remember what happened when Louis was, getting all hot with his little guy friend, he had trouble controlling his hunger, and Claudia, much less control. And sure enough, she ends up feeding on Charlie and killing him. And she takes his body back, and she's just devastated. And Lestat has no sympathy. I would hate him for how he acts on this. And, like, he burns the guy in the incinerator, and he forces Claudia to watch him burn. And it's just super horrible and traumatic for her. And she's like, he's all like, this is what you have to remember, that we can't be with mortals, you can't fall for mortals. And it's like, she could have turned him, right? Like, that's kind of how it works. I mean, you kind of got obsessed with the mortal, and you turned him. So this is a really confusing life lesson. And this just kind of shatters everything. Like, Louis, in the present, Louis comes and meets Daniel, and they talk about Claudia failing as a parent. And that's why he hid her diaries, because he didn't want Daniel to know how badly he'd failed her. And yeah, just after this, him and Lestat are fighting all the time, but now they're fighting in English, and it's much more, like, aggressive, and she's upset over it, and she's just dealing with all this trauma from all around. And we learn that she's had a pretty rough life. Her mom died in childbirth, her dad was a jerk, left her with an aunt who beat her, and now she's got all this going on. And don't fight in front of your kids, it's not cool. And they have her having the age struggle here too, where she's unhappy that she's going through all this and she's going to forever be stuck in this 14-year-old body. I still don't think it works as well as with Claudia in the movie and in the books, where she's much younger and hasn't gone through, like, puberty. Because here she has, and vampires still apparently can do those types of adultish things. So, I mean, there's still stuff she won't probably be able to do as a vampire, but she's definitely in a better position than Claudia was in the previous entries. And the scene gets kind of strange from here, because she's like talking about how she's like really insulting her diary, and she's like, you probably think I'm just like, oh, how you get up in the morning, but I'm doing fine. And it's like, you're not doing fine. And she's like, oh, there's all this fun in the world to have. And then she opens up the sunroof thingy and burns her hand, and she's coming across as a little suicidal. And like, part of me wishes Lestat would see this and just realized how badly he screwed up, but he probably won't. We get a preview for the next episode. It seems like the murders are causing problems. Presumably murders carried out by Claudia, like she's getting out of control. She's keeping like a finger in one of her jewelry boxes. We see a glimpse of Lestat reading her diary, which is not cool, although given that she's maybe murdering people, it might be wise. I think Daniel messes how there's like 4 missing pages from one of the diaries, which I'm super curious about that. And they also have a glimpse of us seeing Louis, or Lestat, telling Claudia that she was a mistake. So, something tells me they're going to still have her trying to murder him in this iteration. But yeah, so that was the episode. Part of me wonders if they're going to make like any really big changes, like not kill a character that's supposed to be killed, or kill a character that is supposed to survive. Probably not, but I guess you never know. It'd be kind of interesting if Claudia didn't die, but I feel like they'd still probably kill her off, just because it's too important to Louis' character. So, yeah, what did you think of this episode? I'm interested in seeing more what they do with Claudia. Apparently the season only has a couple more episodes left. I don't even know if Claudia survives the season. So, yeah, let me know what you thought. Keep spoilers for future episodes out of it. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!